Hello, everybody. I like when this rapper says cucumber because one of my best friends and her parents and everything for the longest time would always pronounce it like that. And it was always so cute. I always thought it was so cute. Cucumber. Yeah, generally a lot of my favorite thing is a lot of my Caribbean friends always their families could never call anyone by their name. They had to give you a nickname that was like your name twice. So let's say your name was like Steven, they'd call you like Stee. Or like if your name's Tiffany, they call you Tiff. Yeah, Gigi, right? Like things like that. Auntie this, auntie that, uncle this, uncle that, but it was always like Auntie Tiff and that sort of thing. So I was always given a nickname as like my name twice. It's cute. A lot of my closest friends, their families were Caribbean, so I would spend a lot of time around them. And I don't know, I've just been listening to a lot of music by a lot of artists that have similar accents. Not 100% the same from like the same countries every time, but and every time I hear it I'm like because it's very familiar to me. So I hear cucumber and I'm like, yeah, yeah, like gare gare. Yeah, it's a thing that a lot of people do. It's just one of those things that is very like heavily done with like everyone does it in like the Caribbean kind of thing. At least all of my friends' families would do it. A lot of Jamaican stuff from British rap. Yes, a lot, a lot. There's also a lot of West African rappers that have moved to the UK and do music there, so their accents are a bit of a mix. Um, so a lot of really interesting music and stuff, and a lot of interesting accents and things kind of coming from that origin. But it's cool, man. As new GEEGA, is there like a playlist? Yeah, no, there isn't. I've got a bunch of playlists that are separated out for different vibes. And what I do is I put like 2 or 3 songs that have the vibe that I want in them, and then I let Spotify autoplay whatever the fuck it wants. So, and it's recommending off of that playlist and off of what it knows I like anyway. It doesn't mix the two, and that's it. So I literally don't have playlists like to share. Anyway, we're here. I like doing slightly earlier Wednesdays, but I didn't because it's Zen's anniversary thingy. So she's been doing that. So I was like, yeah, I'll give that a little room. I always like to give a little room. Um, and we have she's playing Peak, so she was like hop in whenever. So I don't know if we should like chat a lot first, or if I should just hop straight into Peak with them pretty quickly. I don't know how long they're gonna play, so I feel like I should do that. Let me snoop. Let me see how far they are in their run. Maybe whenever they start their next one. They're in the ice caves. Okay, so they're kind of far along. Okay, don't narrate everything that's going on in her stream to me, because that's annoying. But if they all go back to the lobby, they die or they finish or whatever, tell me. And then I'll open the game. Okay. But don't start narrating everything that's going on over there. They're on the volcano level now. I don't care. Just let me know when. They're now blinking. They're talking about this. Well, sometimes I ask people, I'm like, hey, I wanna know this or that, and then they start like reporting like on everything that's going on. I'm like, no, I just wanted the thing. I just want the one thing. So I feel like I always have to preface it, you know, because people go crazy with it. They go crazy. They go insane with it. And it's annoying. Why is this in front of me? Do magic. Ready? Oh. Wow. Wow. Anyway, welcome. It's Wednesday, my dudes. When I was planning out what to play today, I wasn't sure because we just finished DK. There is post-game stuff to do, but I don't think it's like stream shit. And then we finished Sleeping Dogs previously. That was like our big arc we were on. So that's done. And then we have Grounded I did. And that's done. Grounded 2 is out, but I'm not gonna continue my group playthrough until they like hotfix some stuff so it runs smoothly. So what now? So I have some smaller games that have come out that I want to like go and play here and there. Yeah, Mafia soon, but not yet, right? So we have a gap. Mafia is next week. Next week. So I want to do that next week. So we have a couple of days, like a couple of streams that are just kind of open. So I'm like, maybe we should just run some roguelikes. I could do more Sunshine if I wanted. Which Mafia? The next one in the series. So we played 1 and 2. I didn't play 3 on stream because everyone said it's very like not worth. I looked it up and like watched some story to see what happens and that's it. But the new game is the 5th or the 6th, right? It's next week. So there's that. Yeah, Night Rain Duos is pushed up tomorrow. Yeah, so I kind of want to do Night Rain at some point, but I'll wait for Duos. And then... yeah, I'm trying to think of what else there is realistically. A lot of the stuff that I wanted to do, I've finished. So we've just got, I could play more roguelikes and just runs of them. We could play more He Is Coming, things like that. And then we've got, Sunshine, I could continue. If you want to see, like, more of that. There are other classic games that I wanted to do playthroughs of that I could get into, but I feel like I don't want to do them before starting Mafia because I want to know Life Mafia when it comes out, assuming it's good, right? So I don't know. So I think maybe we just play smaller one-off things until then. Because I have a list of some stuff I could go through. And you know what? I can always do another run of Sifu. Why not? I could always crack Sifu back open, get my muscle memory back, and play Sifu again. It's just one of those games that I love. I love going back through. I love it so much. You know? So there'll always be stuff. Manifesting Mafia being good. God, I hope it is. I really hope it is. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. But for today, we'll hop into Peak and then play like I got a couple single player things that have come out that I want to do. I'm not fucking playing Garfield card. I'm not doing it. Nuh-uh. Yeah, I've never played Cyberpunk. Mage Arena I would do with friends. It's not a solo game. I like having a balance. I like to do a lot of collab stuff, but I like to also do a lot of solo stuff. I don't like, you know, only doing one. So we need to balance. So I need like a solid, good thing. I don't know. YouTube auto captions the text Ao Saifu as old Sifu. I was thinking about that, and I was like, I kind of want to teach people like martial arts and then make them call me Sifu. But then also, Elena was saying that in Babylon in ancient times, that they would call doctors like what was the word? I think it was like Asu. So she was like, they have to call you Asu. I was like, wait, I like that. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Call me Sifu. Asu Gigi. You must call me Asu. Is Metroid Fusion an option? I'm not looking to play Fusion on stream. I've replayed Fusion so many times. I could always do a Pikmin playthrough. I can always reopen Pikmin. But I'm gonna do some new stuff too. So there are a couple things that have come out recently that were looking pretty damn good. That I'm keeping on the docket. Yeah, the Pikmin. You ever played Tales of games? I've played a lot of them, yeah. I like them. I like them a lot. Not the kind of stuff that I want to teach, that I want to play on stream, though. Not really. Not really. There's also, I think, in my list of roguelikes and things, there's a lot. Like, White Knuckle is one of them that I wanted to go through and play. We have a lot to test. We have a lot to test. We got tons to test. You Final Fantasy person? It's 9's 25th anniversary. Guys, I'm not playing any JRPGs on stream. Like, there are very few I would ever play on stream. I love them. I love playing them. I don't want to play them on stream. It's just not happening. They're awful for streams. They're the worst. But then for playing alone, non-verbal, in bed with your Steam Deck, they're perfect, you know? But they got a time and place. And I don't like streaming them. So many menus. I start to, my brain cannot function. I just can't go through like all these menus, remember all these items, remember all these mechanics and things, and also be talking to chat at all. I just end up going so slow. I need to lock in on them, and I can't do it. I can't do it when I'm like also streaming. My brain just rejects it. Same thing with like gacha games and all the different menus and stuff. I forget everything. And then the moment I'm not streaming, it's fine because I'm not holding all these thoughts on the side, you know? But yeah. Yeah, I can't do it, dude. Is this the GEEGA from the Moist Critical Cheeky so bad? Oh my god, yes. Oh my god. He messaged me on Twitter yesterday to thank for the raid, and I'm like, you should just message me on Discord. I feel bad. I feel like he keeps logging into Twitter to say stuff, but he doesn't use his Twitter. I'm gonna be like, this is my Discord, by the way. You don't have to open this application. He's trying. He's doing his best. He's doing his best. Oh, man. He's such a sweet dude. He's really nice. He's genuinely really nice. Yeah. It's funny. Have you played Pikuniku before? No, it is on my list, but I would want to do it with 2 people, I think. He was so locked into Resident Evil 4 to see it. Well, he also streams on, he like multi-streams. Any of my friends that multi-stream, they take a lot longer to notice like raids and things like that because they have all this shit on the side. They have 2 chats they have to look at, and you know. And some of them use Truffle, so it does kind of combine to one chat, but still, then it's a different UI, and it makes it harder to see that stuff, so. That's how it is. I've always thought about it. I've thought about multi-streaming here and there, but it's so much. It's so much. For me, I don't think I would benefit that much. Maybe later. Maybe later. I've thought about multi-streaming RP when I'm doing that. Because not all, but most of my RP friends move platforms, so I'm like, I've thought about doing that. I don't know if that's worth it. I don't know. It may be, it may not be. But everyone's over there, so I'm like, I don't know. Multi-streaming to MySpace just in case. You've never been in a YouTube live chat and you felt that you felt improved through your experience. Yeah, I don't like YouTube streaming from their chat perspective. The chats, just talking about functionality, I don't like it. It's really hard on the moderators. That's the thing I feel worst about. It's really hard on the moderators. But yeah, the chat, that's like, you know, no offense, that's the normie platform. You get a lot of kids. You get a lot of people that like wander into your chat just having no fucking clue where they are and just acting like like so weirdly. I don't know. I feel like I get a lot of weirdness when doing that. So I did try YouTube streaming as like, instead of having an alt Twitch, my alt streams were just on my YouTube channel. But people were so weird. It was a mix of like my regulars who could act normal, and then like a bunch of people coming in that I was like, I don't know. I don't know. The vibes were off. So I got chased away by that a little bit. See people doing multi-streaming to Twitter? Maybe. Is there any value though to streaming to your Twitter? Because do you monetize that? Because if it's monetized, then it's a revenue stream. So that makes sense. If you can't really monetize it, then you're just like having people watch there instead of on Twitch, which I think does you a disservice. I think it's just so people see your live. I guess so. Yeah, exposure. Yeah, no, I do a going live tweet, which is enough for me. I don't think we need that. Are there other games like GTA and Ark Survival Evolved that have RP servers? There's a ton. Rust is a big one as well. Yeah. I don't know. I think the Twitter streaming thing seems like, unless they make it like a good revenue stream, I think it just splits people off of whatever your main platform is, which then makes you earn less money because you're not like consolidating them to the one that actually pays you. Right? I don't know. It feels like it's just not worth. Most people, I mean, I get stats from Twitch on where people come from when I'm live. Right? And like it's pretty much everyone's already on Twitch and clicks on, or they see my Discord message. Yeah, views from outside Twitch, 80% direct. 80% of you are just like on Twitch or opening, you're straight up going to twitch.tv/GEEGA, right? You're just there. 10% from Twitter. The direct includes the Discord link clicks, by the way. So 80% either from the Discord and or Twitch. And then 10% of people click on me from my Twitter posts. And then everything else is just a jumbled mess of everything else. So it's fine. We don't really need, like, I don't know. I feel like the streaming on Twitter thing doesn't really seem like it'll do that much for me, for the most part. So I just won't. I just won't, methinks. Watch on the app. Does that separate itself? No, that's part of direct. If you're like on the platform. Yeah. So vast majority of people are like already on the platform or just clicking the link straight up or going to the link. So I feel like, you know, whatever we're doing here is fine. Right? Anytime you've seen someone who streams on the green website, it's always the freakiest stuff. It's weird for me because, okay, so Kick has like multiple pockets of people. And they started finally like banning some people that were being really bad. I think they need to do more. They need to do a lot more with that, but they've been like doing more of it. So I'm keeping an eye on it. And then the thing that did move to Kick that is for me is GTA RP. So what they did was, instead of everyone streaming in the generic GTA 5 category for the game, instead they do, for each major server, it has its own category. So if you're streaming on NoPixel, which is a server I play on, you go in that category when you're streaming it. And then, you know, a long time ago, they offered some RP streamers really good contracts. And now people are just going there because they realize, look, I'm not saying I'm going to like 100% swap my channel over there or anything like that. I'm not planning on that. I'm just saying a lot of the RP streamers moved over there because they say they make so much more money there. And that's without them having a contract. So they don't have to gamble. They don't have to do, even the people with contracts aren't even really all doing the gambling thing anymore. That's kind of like gone from a lot of them, or, you know, most of them. All the RP streamers that I know, they just stream there. And that community is not so bad because they've all been there and been like moderating their channels for a while. So that community is okay. But then the moment you step outside of that community, you step outside of like the RP community and you go to like other like normal live streams, then it starts to get like weird again, you know? Then you get all the people that have been banned on Twitch that went over there like in chats, and I'm like, ooh, you know? So it's in a weird spot. Like I feel like things are getting better with it, but it has a long way to go, you know? So it's interesting. It's interesting. I'm keeping an eye on it, but like, you know, I'll go over there to watch a friend who's playing RP, hang out in their chat, say hi, and have a great time in their chat. And I'm like, oh, things look better. And then I go click on like a just chatting streamer over there, and I'm like, ooh, you know? So like, it's a shame because there are these smaller communities that are hopping over there, and like within their own bubbles, they're doing fine, and the site seems nice when you're like in those communities, and then you like branch out, and you're like, ooh. It's a cool phenomenon. I'm just like keeping an eye on it, you know? So I don't know. My RP streamer friends that went over there are having a great time, but it's because that community is like in its own thing, you know? It's very interesting. Very interesting. I said, is kick payout just for being live, or are they saying sub money is higher? You get 90% of the subs. Twitch does 50-50, and then if you're in Partner Plus, you get 70-30. Kick gives you 90%. Okay, that's number one. Number two, they pay you for chat activity. If people are chatting, instead of getting ad money from ads, you get paid for chat activity. So people are getting paid. What? Yeah. If you're part of their partner program. Yep. No, you don't get paid for spam. It doesn't work. It doesn't work when people spam. It has detection for it. But like you get paid for like unique chatters, and then it does like bot detection and everything. So they say. I don't know about it. I don't know how it works. Like there's always that part in the back of my head that's like, is it functioning like that though? Right? But that's at least what they're doing for now. So I'm like, But that's why people are making so much. So I get after seeing that, I was like, oh, I get why. Like it's really the 90-10 split that's making like my RP friends so much money. Because it's the same community, they just moved over there. They're not getting that many more subs. They're getting some more, but they're getting so much more of it. So I'm like, oh, okay. And they're making more. I don't know, man. Kick is the only platform that will accept your ASMR burping / political content. That's what I'm saying. Like, the RP community is having a great time, but then the moment you, like, step out of that, oh, that site has so much weird shit, man. Ugh. Still has a long way to go. It's a long way to go. Yeah, like one of you're like, isn't it like wildly sexist and racist? It's not the whole platform. It's that they, which I think they're complicit. Don't get me wrong. I think they're complicit. It's just that they allowed certain people who are not allowed on Twitch anymore to be there because they're like a free speech, right? That being said, that obviously didn't go well. Gave them a horrible rep. And then, yeah, right. They were like the edgy Twitch, exactly. And then now they're starting to pull back. So they have been banning some people, depending on certain behaviors, or if it's like, if they think it could cause actual harm to somebody, they're like, yeah, fuck that, right? And they're starting to get rid of that. But I feel like the damage is already done, right? Like they were the edgy Twitch for so long that like, I don't know that they can shake that image or you know, fix that. So I don't know, like, so much would have to change and so many people would have to go over there. Yeah, and a lot of time needs to pass before they get rid of that. I don't know, man. It's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know. Yeah, a lot of you complaining about like the stake association and stuff. Yeah, I would be honest with you. I've already talked about how I feel about gambling. I obviously am a big proponent of like, don't sit there and advertise it to kids and stuff. But straight up, I think if somebody is sitting there just gambling on their stream, that's just a choice. I'm not going to hate them for it. As long as they're being realistic and they're like, hey, you're likely to lose money. This is a losing game, right? As long as they're honest and they're like, I'm doing this for the entertainment aspect, knowing I'm dumping money into it and I may very well lose this. If they're being honest about it, I don't give a shit. If they're sitting there trying to say like, yo, man, get it twisted, I'm making so much today, this is so crazy, you know, then I'm like, I don't know about that. Right? It's all about who you do it, how you do it, rather. Because there are some people, dude, there's some people that have taken those sponsorships to play like a game and it's slots or something, and they get up on their stream and they go, do not gamble, you will lose, it sucks, it's literally rigged, and then they get their bag and they sit there and play slots for an hour. I don't hate them for that, you know. When someone does that, I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, I'm not, as long as, like I said, as long as they're honest about it, I'm not gonna vilify them for it, right? Just don't be dishonest, dog. Then I'm like, that's good for you, because then that money from those places is going to somebody, at least. Like, it's going to some streamer. It's not going in some billionaire's pocket again, you know? So I'm like, hey, at least you can suck some of the money out of that system. Right? As long as they're honest, man. Yeah, every time you'd look at Buddha and playing slots, it was just him and Saeed podcasting. Yeah, he was doing it because it was a contractual obligation. And he would just podcast, and he would not really say too much about what was going on the screen. It was literally like, it was audio only. You could close off the video of the stream and just watch like the chat and hear him talking, and that was the whole stream. And I was like, yeah, that's the way to do it. Rev, thank you for that raid. Thank you for that raid. I appreciate that. I was talking about gambling. I was like, I know some people who have like those contracts to do like gambling on stream or like stuff like that on Kick or whatever. And I was talking about when it's good, when it's bad, you know? I'm also eating cherries, for the record. But yeah, we were just talking about that because I had a friend who had in his contract, he would stream over there. And it said like at the end of every stream, he had to like play slots from like one of these two sites for like an hour. And they would give him money to do it. So he didn't have to use like his own money or anything. And he would straight up say, this is why I thought it was like good, the way he did it. He would get up there and he'd be like, reminder guys, do not gamble. It sucks. You will lose money. I am doing this because they are paying me directly. Do not do anything I'm doing right now. And he would say it straight up every time. And then that whole hour, he'd be like, don't even look at the screen, guys. And he would just podcast with his friend. So it was just people were there straight up for the chat. So people would sit there in the chat and talk to him, and he would like podcast for an hour. It was just chatting, but he would have this thing on the screen and get paid for it. Juiced it! So I juiced it! I go. I saw that and I was like, okay. Okay. The thing that really bothers me is the people who take those things, but then like try to encourage people to do it, right? They like take those contracts where there's something written in there like right, like you have to say nice things about our site, or you have to say this, you have to say that, and then they say it. That I don't like that. Then I'm like, that's shitty. But if you're just playing the thing, but you're not telling people necessarily like, oh, you should do this, and you're saying don't do this, how is it different than people taking a sponsorship for a gacha game? I'ma be real with you. I do see a lot of people take a lot of sponsorships from a lot of gacha games, but then they also hate on anyone who ever takes any sponsorship from anything that lets you gamble anything ever. And I'm like, I understand if those people are trying to make you gamble with the sponsorship, like the way they're talking about it, they're obligated to say, oh, you should do this. I understand hating that. But when they're given money, it's free to play for them because they're given money to do the casino shit, right? They're not using their own money. And they say that. They get up there and go, I was given this $100 and I'm just playing this $100, and then once it's out, right? I don't know how they can like hate on that. Because it's the same thing in my mind. There are free to play casinos also, yeah. Because it's gambling but anime. Right? That's the thing, is like, it's the same sponsorship structure, because I've looked at these contracts. So for the slots, let's say, any gambling site, they usually give you money, and they're like, here's money, or like they give you tokens to use on the site, so you're not spending your own on it. And they're like, if you're at a loss, we'll cover the loss. So the streamer does not have to include their money, usually. If they make you do that, you shouldn't take it. But a lot of them, they don't. They give you that currency. So, and you could say that to your chat straight up. You're like, hey, I didn't put anything into this. And then when you take a gacha sponsorship, you either do free to play, or they give you, they give you gems. They give you stuff so you can do polls on stream and all that. So it's the same exact structure. But people will hate on the gacha part. Or they won't hate on the gacha one. They'll take that sponsorship and then they'll turn and they'll hate on someone doing the like essentially free to play for the streamer slot sponsorship. And I'm like, but isn't it like almost the same? I do think gacha has more with, you know, usually there's story involved. There are characters you're pulling on, I guess, right? But I don't think that makes it like morally different, functionally different. Yeah, you get an epic PNG, right? An epic PNG. So I look at this and I'm like, I don't think I can rightfully like hate on one and not the other. Right? For me, I think the time when I care about is just when people are like dishonest about it, right? Dishonest about what they're doing. Then I'm like, you know, both our game designs usually geared toward exploring addictive personalities. Yeah, it's human nature to like fall into that stuff a little bit, right? And then some people fall into it really hard, and they're the ones who are like in a risk group, and they should keep themselves away from that shit. They should see it in front of them and go, uh-oh, and turn and run, right? Because majority of people could watch someone gamble or play gacha or whatever for an hour and just watch it and not do anything about it, right? Like majority of people could do that. And then there's this risk group of people that can't help themselves. They're influenced by it, right? And then that begs the question, whose fault is it if that person starts doing that thing, right? If I play a gacha game on stream and someone, because of that, downloads it and starts spending hundreds of dollars every week on it, is that my fault? Is that their fault? You know what I mean? Like, it's a complex question with a complex answer, but I feel like I don't think I should feel like I did something horrible, right? At the same time, do you have a small hand in it? Yeah, because you like show it to them. There's influence, but you're not like you're not in their ear going, you need to do this, spend your money, right? Like, there's a lot of layers and a lot of steps for that person to get there, right? So I don't know. It's just like one of those things. It's a difficult question to answer. I think it's case by case because it's person by person, right? Depends on your individual conscience, I guess. Way too much nuance involved. Right. That's what I mean. Like, I don't think there's a definitive answer to say this person's definitely at fault or whatever. But like everyone is a part in it, but I don't think I'm gonna hate someone who plays a gacha game on stream if then some of their viewers go and start like spending a fuck ton of their money on that. If that person sat there and played it but didn't go, you need to do this, if they were just like, Yeah, don't spend your money on it, guys. Don't waste money. Do what's within your means. And then if someone like ignores that and spends their money anyway, I'm just gonna be like, it's not that streamer's fault. I think it depends on how they portray it, right? Because those people who are in that risk group, like, have you ever had this experience? Here's another example. You ever have a friend who has a drinking problem and you're out with them and they're like, oh, I shouldn't drink. And you're like, yeah, you really shouldn't. You took them out to eat at a place that does have good drinks, but you took them out to eat and you're just hanging out there and you order one drink and they order one drink. But then they start going, oh, I'm so bad. And they order a second one. You're like, hey, you shouldn't. But they do it anyway. Like, yeah, you took them there and there are good drinks there and you had one drink in front of them and maybe you were like, yeah, have one to them. But you didn't sit there and like make them order 20 drinks. You know what I mean? You didn't order their fifth drink for them. It's I feel like it's one of those situations, right? Where it's like you can dissuade, but it's not your fault when they get into their end behavior, right? I don't know. Because people don't listen. Right? Like even with your own friends, no matter what you try to do, they don't listen. Very few do. If you take your alcoholic friend to a bar, your fault. I'm not saying a bar, I'm saying like a restaurant. That's what I mean though, right? I'm not even like saying that. I'm saying you just go to a place, they have nice drinks, but it's mostly about the food. You're hanging out and you're like, oh, let's get a little drink while we're here. You can have the one. And they're like, yeah, I'll have the one. Because they told you beforehand, oh, I just want to have one. And you're like, okay, that's chill. You think they might control themselves and then they sit down and suddenly don't control themselves. And you're like, ah, what do you do? Like cover their mouth with your hand? Like there's a point where you're like, this is an adult and I can't sit here and act like this is my child. Right? I don't know. And you could be like, okay, next time I have to go to some place like not with any sort of alcohol ever, but like, you know, even then, when people have these types of issues, these types of personalities where they are highly prone to these things, they start finding ways and you know, it gets really difficult. Some people will not lie to you. Some people will be like, oh yeah, I've been bad. I had this many drinks this week or whatever. But there are a lot of them, and I've experienced this a lot. There are a lot of them that try to pretend and they try to hide it too. So it's like one of those things where I'm just like, oh man. Same thing with gambling addicts. A lot of them don't tell their families and they just quietly go to a casino like alone. They like steal away in the night and they go play some slots and stuff and lose money. And then their wife like finds out way later. There's so many stories like this because, you know, people do feel a sense of shame, but at the end of the day, they're kind of like unable to control themselves with a lot of these issues, right? And a lot of types of addiction all kind of share that in common. And obviously all these scenarios are complex. They're all a bit different depending on what the substance or behavior they're addicted to is. But I don't know, it's also complex. It's one of those things like you can't really help people unless you are on top of them all the time, unless you are in their actual support system, right? And even then, you can't always saddle yourself with that. Sometimes it's too much on a person to try to, like, get someone out of that, you know? It's tough, man. A lot of stuff is so tough. What can you do? What can you do? No, I mean, can't make others' decisions for them. Yeah, and then, you know, circling back to the original question, if you're like a streamer and you're playing, let's say, gacha on stream, and the sponsor contract, they give you 100 gems to use for pulls, and you're doing pulls on stream. If you're doing that, and you're saying out loud to people like, look, they gave me these gems, I'm not spending my own money on this, by the way. You know, you're even like, hey, spend within your means. You're encouraging people to just be smart about it. And then people within your chat go on to, like, some of them spend so much of their own money on this stuff and they get addicted to, like, doing polls and they're like, really having a problem with it. Can you fault that streamer? Like, I think maybe morally you could put like a bookmark on that and be like, yeah, a little bit of that lies with them. But there's nothing to do. There's no actionable anything. Right? Because the majority of people, vast, vast, vast majority, are not going to have that issue. I don't know. It's a tough question. That's why if I ever play anything like that on stream, I only do free to play. So like, even if I've never taken one of those sponsors outside of Star Rail, and they didn't give me anything. They didn't give me anything to do polls, whatever. They were just like, go through some of the story, and I was like, okay, I'll play like the base game. I'm not gonna sit there and like put my money into it on stream, nor will I use if you give me free currency. I'm not gonna use that. I'm just gonna play the game. And I did that, and that's why I was cool with it, is because they didn't like try to make me do polls, you know. They didn't try to like make me do extra shit. So I was like, okay, I'm comfortable with that. But I wasn't comfortable with the idea of like, you know, doing all the polls on stream, because then there was also a caveat in there where they were like, if we give you something and you do polls, you know, it was almost written in a way where like you had to not encourage people to do it too, but there was like, I can't remember what it was. There's some information you had to omit that I felt like I didn't like, and I was like, oh. If they offer me a contract where I don't have to omit that, I would do it, but they wanted me to omit something, and I was like, nope, nope, no thank you. I think they've gotten better with that overall, though, because a lot of streamers were like, no, so I don't know. Yeah, Carrot said you can play gacha game free to play. I think with gambling sites, you can't really gamble without putting money in. That depends on the site. There are a lot of them that you actually can. They give you starting tokens to use for free, and you can do that. But the caveat is then if you want to re-up after that, then you pay for them. So, like, yes, you can. Some of them, they'll give you, actually, it's literally like gacha with some of them. They'll make it like every week you get a certain amount of free stuff to bet with, and you can bet with that. So it's not always just a sign-up bonus. A lot of them do those sign-up bonuses. So there's always like a free-to-play at the beginning. But what some of them started doing is adding like a weekly or a monthly like extra free amounts. So there is free-to-play. And that's the thing. I don't think it's as strong as gacha. Gacha always has like more free-to-play time for sure. Very, very vastly different. But they also have that kind of model, you know, which is interesting. But you know, we all know if someone walks in there and does free to play and wants to play more, but they lost their tokens within 2 hours, the chance of them spending is high enough that, you know, it's going to happen for quite a few of them, right? So we all know that. Right? They get you with the deposit match promos. There's a lot of that. A casino with anime waifus would go crazy. I know. But this community, I gotta say, like the anime watching community, the VTuber watching community, whatever, is super, super, super like hard moral stance against a lot of that stuff. You'll see a lot of people that are like they're so against it that they act like people are Satan if they if they do certain things. And that's why I like to point this stuff out where I'm like, okay, it's not the same, but there's a lot that is within it the same when you compare like gacha to some of this stuff. So I'm like, let's not pretend, you know, that there's none of these aspects here, you know. It seems hypocritical sometimes. I wouldn't say it's the same, but there are a lot of parts of it that are exactly the same. So, you know. Konami's Pachinko Empire's found on IP branded machines. Yeah. They basically have it existing already. Yeah. Gacha games still produce a product even if they are just waifu PNGs. Yeah. That's why I'm saying it's not 100% the same, right? But I think they trick you into thinking there's so much more value on these things than there actually are. And that is their way of getting you to get in there and gamble your money away, is to convince you that it's so different because you even said it, you typed it in chat and you're like, it still produces a product, right? I'm not saying you're arguing that it's like a valuable product, but you know, they put that idea in your mind. There's this idea of perceived value where there really isn't any. There's really no value to it in the end. But they give you this perceived value so that you go in there and you're like, I'm not gambling because I got XYZ. Right? All right. So, you know, I'm just saying. It depends on the game, but there are a lot of aspects of that where I'm like, it's just a different tactic. It's the, you know, wolf in sheep's clothing kind of thing. Right? There's a bit of dubiousness in my opinion. Again, I do think there's a lot of really good extra free-to-play options, so it's a bit easier to get in there and experience the thing and still control yourself. But if you're the type of personality that has a hard time not just spending that extra, you're going to get there and you're going to spend that extra and you're going to do really hard because of that perceived value. You know? So, like, the hooks are really strong, way stronger than any standard gambling because of the perceived value, right? It's so strong, those hooks. So those people that do have those types, they sink so far into that, but no one goes, oh, you have a gambling addiction, because they're just like, oh, he loves his waifus, right? Some people will call it out as that, but a lot don't. And that's where I think it gets scary, right? It doesn't get identified as, oh, this dude's got a problem. They're just like, oh, he loves his waifus. Oh, he's so crazy. Right? And that's scary for those people. I don't know. It's got its own slew of issues. And that's why, like, I won't take sponsorships for those games unless they specifically allow me to say certain things. Or they, like, allow me to just do the free-to-play stuff. If they give me extra gems, I don't have to use them contractually. And I'm allowed to say, like, hey, they gave me these. I'm not putting my own money into this. You know, like, I have some check boxes in my mind that have to be checked for me to take one of those, because I'm like, you know, we got to be realistic. Otherwise, I feel like it gets a little iffy on my moral radar, at least, right? And that's what I was saying. There, like, some of the gambling sponsors were actually, like, not so bad in the way the contracts were written, because they very clearly allowed those streamers to say gambling is shit, don't do it. It's like that kind of stuff. You know, I'm not spending my own money and you should never. You will lose. This is rigged. Like, they would legitimately allow that contractually. And I was like, oh, not all of them. I'm just saying certain ones. So it's very interesting how they some of them did that. And I wonder how much of a return they still made. Right? Of course, I will never see that data, but makes you wonder. Because you would think it means that it would still work out for them, right? I don't know. I do see a lot fewer gambling sponsors that allow you to say things like that. It's just certain sites, it's just certain ones, rather than a lot of them. So I'm like, I wonder. So Balatro got slammed by the EU for trying to make an 18+ game for gambling imagery despite containing no actual gambling. Not only did it contain no actual gambling, the thing with Balatro is it's not poker. It has nothing to do with poker. The only thing is that the hands are names of poker hands, and they use cards to display them, but nothing mechanically about it is like poker at all. It's Yahtzee. It's the game Yahtzee that you play with dice. It is the same exact game. And in Yahtzee, the hands have always been named the same things as those poker hands. Full house, four of a kind, etc. It's the same exact gameplay as Yahtzee, okay? It is not poker. It has nothing to do with poker. I also don't dislike poker at all. I love playing poker. And it is a bit more skill-based. It's not just a pure gamble like slots where you pull a lever and you're just like, whatever the fuck shows up, you know? There is also, like, actual gameplay to it. And then the gambling is just if you're betting real money on top of that. It's separate. But the game itself, which you could play with chips that mean nothing, you don't have to associate money to them. You just play with friends with just plastic chips, you know? Like, that game is not gambling. There's nothing about the gameplay that's gambling, realistically. maybe like little bits where there's a little like you're guessing, but it's not a complete gamble ever. So, you know, that's why I was like, that means that not only did they not understand poker, they also didn't look at this game and realize it's not even poker. They just saw cars and they were like, it must be gambling, which is crazy. That's crazy. I don't know. It's nuts. So I brought a banana to the poker table once and they shot me 38 times in the chest. Oh, man. No. So if anything, it teaches kids about planning and probability and critical choice making. Mm-hmm. Unironically, make kids play Yahtzee. Make kids get into Yahtzee when they're little. It's straight up, it's the best. It's the best. It teaches a lot of little things about critical thinking in the form of a fun game. It's simple, so a little kid can learn it. You don't have to bet anything. It's not a gambling game. You're just trying to accumulate points to win a round. But just saying. Just saying. Banger game. And Balatro is just better Yahtzee, right? It's so good. I fucking love Yahtzee. That's why, like, when I first started playing Balatro, I was like, this game fucks. Because they took a fun, simple, predictive game and just went crazy on it. Throw Pig, best game. Oh my god, pass the pigs. Throw Pig is so fucking good. Any of you guys own that one? I'll get a picture of it. I have like an old version of Pass the Pigs. What if I type retro or like classic? I want to find the old version. I have the one where it comes. Yeah. Hold on. This is an old Milton Bradley thing. Hold on. Let me get the picture. I used to love this game. Dude. So, really simple. You got these two pigs. And you throw them. You roll them like dice. And they land certain ways. They land, you know, they could be like nose down. They could be on their sides, whatever. And then you get points for how they land. It's like a little dice game, except you just use these tiny little pigs. Dude, oh my god. Throw Pig is such a good game. I loved this thing. And I have this version where they come in the little plastic case like this. I still have this somewhere. This is the exact version that I owned. It was so good. It was so good. And you would just throw them. That's all. Imagine the anime waifu version of this. Imagine. It could be so good, man. It was dogs in your EU version? Really? Not little pigs? Yeah, the US version was little piggies. And then, well, this was made in the US, but obviously, like, this one is not written in English, so clearly they sold it elsewhere, right? They did. This could be Boriskin pretty quickly. It could be. It could be. I don't know. I loved this game, man. So simple. And the thing is, it came in that little tiny plastic case. So you could carry it with you. And the idea was like, you would whip that out of your pocket. You'd be like, yo, I got past the pigs. And then you would be able to play it. Right? I unironically used to carry dice on me. And not like a D&D set, but just a bunch of 6-sided dice. And I would just like play Yahtzee with people. I would be like, put these in your hand Shake 'em, drop 'em. Let's play Yahtzee. You needed a piece of paper and some dice, and you were chilling. This was back in my day. Way back in my day. We used to do that a lot. A lot.
Hi GEEGA, I'm still
so
new
long.
to chat but just wanna share
This is
some
so
opinions
long.
on gacha games.
Okay.
In general, I think playing them is fine. I play a few myself, and as
Okay.
long as a F2P and don't try to get every character, it can be alright. The devs
Oh my
tend to
God,
purposely
I'm
give just
clicking the
enough.
button. It's too long, dog. And the thing is, the TTS voice, when you do a run-on sentence, goes, oh, 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 and he can't read normally anymore. That whole thing is one run-on sentence. However, I agree. I agree with what you said. But yeah, the bot, if you don't give it punctuation, he starts to get when he talks. I do agree though, like gacha stuff gives you good free to play, but they just kind of like sink their hooks into you repeatedly, I feel. Right? And they make you hit a wall constantly, where you hit that wall and then you're like, uh-oh. Now I suddenly feel like spending money. Because now I can't get the things I want to get, right? I want to get this thing and it was so easy to get before, but now it's not. So now I want to spend my money. And they really like, yeah, right, manipulation is the right word. They manipulate the fuck out of you. I don't know. It's very scummy. However, I'm also of the opinion that like people are gonna get hooked into shit. If they don't get hooked into that, they're gonna get hooked into something else similar, right? Like the type of personality that can't help themselves by getting hooked into a gacha game, they're gonna go play some other shitty US mobile game that's not a gacha, but like, you know, has some similar elements, or they're gonna end up like having an issue with gambling, right? I feel like a lot of the time certain types of people have a hard time keeping themselves from this stuff, and there's so much in the world that has these types of factors that there's always something. Thank you for the paragraph fight. Thank you so much. Me too. But yeah, I don't know, there's so many things that are going to sink their hooks into you that it then becomes a question of like, if you're on the end of, you could create those hooks for people, right? You own a company, you're making a game or whatever. Do you make a game that doesn't do that, but makes you like very little money to feel morally good and to be like, I did not do that shit? Or do you start adding mild elements of the stuff into your game because you're missing out if you don't? Right? And I think that's how all of these studios end up in this spot where even if they don't make like a full gacha game, they have these little elements of, you now want to pay to play a little bit, right? Even FOMO, right? Even skin FOMO, even games where the only thing you can pay for is some skins, they make the skins look so good. And that's just normal business at that point, right? But there will always be people who are super weak to it compared to others. So do you blame the person who made it? How dare you make someone spend their money? No. Right? So I feel like a lot of these like really dark patterns are just compounded versions of normal business. It's just been compounded so much that it gets to that point. You know what I mean? It's interesting. It's interesting how they're like all these levels. You know? Paid skins versus gacha skins are different. Yeah, but there's so many levels in between that, right? There's straight up paid skin, direct paying. Then there's gacha skin where it's got like an ultra rare and SSR kind of version where you're paying for like chances for things, right? Then you've got this like loot box / battle pass model where they mix the two, and it's somewhere in the middle. It's like, if you play this much, guaranteed you'll get this thing eventually. But also, if you have the battle pass and you get some loot boxes on the way, the premium loot boxes might give you that thing early. And you can pay a little extra to just open a few more of those so long as you have the battle pass, right? They do these like compound versions of these things that aren't like fully into the gacha model. and they're not fully on the you could just buy this direct model, but they're like somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff that's like I wouldn't look at it and be like, oh, it's full gacha or full gambling, but it's also got like some patterns, you know? They finished up? Okay. Okay. I'll message them. But yeah, it's real interesting. There's so many different like it's a spectrum, right? It's a spectrum of ways you can get people to spend money. Ways you can get people that are weak to this stuff to do this stuff. It's all so interesting. And again, like at what point in that spectrum do you like say I'll engage with this or I won't do this? Right? It's so gray area. It's so gray area of a lot of it. I don't know. I don't know.